Hello and welcome to the Bears and Lions podcast. This is the podcast where we challenge our present by viewing our past. I'm a firm believer that our greatest future lies within the correct view of our past, because when we actually look at it, yeah, we've probably gone through some things, but that perspective that we've gained through those experiences is so valuable, and it's helped us get where we are, and it should give us some confidence in stepping into the future, which we're going to be talking about perspective today, and I'm really excited about this conversation. I've gone on a couple flights recently, and so the view from 30,000 feet is still fresh in my mind, and I wanted to share it with you all. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much. Make sure that you hit that like and subscribe button and comment down below, because we're switching some camera angles, and I'd really like your opinion if you like it this way or the previous camera angle, or if you would prefer a different camera angle. If you're listening on Spotify or iTunes, you probably can't see me, but I appreciate it. Make sure that you drop a follow and share this podcast with somebody. And you can always see me on my socials. You can follow me on TikTok or X, which is formerly known as Twitter, at Kyle Vaught. That's K-Y-L-E-V as in Victor A-T-T. And I'm on Instagram as well as Threads at Kyle_Vaught. I loved this conversation. I hope that it encourages you, and I will see you on the other side. Perspective is this unique thing, right? Because we all have it, whether we realize it or not. We have a perspective on life. We all experience our moments, usually through first-person perspective. We're probably not like looking at ourselves saying, wow, look what he's doing. He's so cool. We're first person. We're experiencing it. And so maybe there's a stressful moment. We fail a class in school and we have to redo it. Yeah, that's frustrating. We go through a breakup. That's really painful. And in the moment, we are first person, ground zero, there in that moment, experiencing that pain, frustration, loss of a loved one, illness, whatever, what have you, right? There's things that we're going to experience, these moments in life that give us perspective. And a lot of times these moments don't have to define our character, but they often do, because they define our worldview, right? So if you were bullied growing up, then you may look at yourself as the underdog, even though you may be, the favorite. In a lot of situations in life, you see yourself as the underdog all the time because you were bullied, or you were always the underdog at a developmental stage, right? And I think having perspective is so powerful because it pulls you out of your normal stuff. That's why we go see counselors or therapists, and it's why it's so beneficial, right? It helps us see all sides, and it helps us maybe view it from a different perspective that we haven't thought of because we've told ourselves a certain narrative throughout our lives. I think that's one of those really awesome things about therapy is therapy allows you to gain a perspective. So you are experiencing all these moments. We're going to call them puzzle pieces, right? All of these moments in life are just these broken puzzle pieces or puzzle pieces that are just strewn about. There's corner pieces, there's end pieces, there's edge pieces, there's middle pieces, there's pieces with the little knobs, and then there's pieces with no knobs at all. And you've got to figure out where they all go in order to have meaning. And I think therapists will often give you a frame or a picture, like the front of the box of a puzzle, to know how to frame this perspective or how to frame this moment. Hey, this moment goes up here. This moment goes over here. Maybe if you view it this way, it's going to make sense. Maybe you have the puzzle flipped upside down and you need to turn the picture around so you can understand it a little bit better. And it blows me away how perspective has impacted my life. I was recently flying, and if you've ever looked out a window while flying, everything seems so small. It's just small in comparison. And if you could look at a moment in life, maybe the stressful moment that you're going through right now, maybe a decision that you're going through right now, and have the perspective of your entire lifespan, it may help you see how significant or insignificant certain moments are. And it may help you just de-stress and realize this isn't such a big deal in light of my entire life. Other areas, it may hone your skills, right? That perspective may broaden out, and you may see in your entire lifespan, this is a key moment. I am going to ask her to marry me. I'm going to buy this house. I'm going to move states or move to this new job or new career. There could be defining moments where the perspective helps you understand, wait, I just did that. Maybe you've gone through a lifestyle change. I was speaking with a lovely person a couple months ago. In fact, it was our podcast, I believe is episode 21 or 22. It's with Queen Manda on socials, but we did an interview with her, and she lost a ton of weight, and she had this whole lifestyle change, and she looked back and she said, I did that. And it's the perspective of seeing how strong you are. And that's the whole purpose of this podcast, right? Is to help us gain perspective on our past, right? We challenge our present by viewing our past and viewing the things that we did, and gain perspective of how strong you are, how capable you are, how more prepared than you could ever imagine you are. I think it's a beautiful insight to have that. And I was flying recently, and I love that. I love that every time you fly, right? Every single airline has the emergency procedure. Some will have like a video where it goes through it all, but you'll always see the flight attendants with the little books, and they'll have the the life vest where they'll be like, okay, if you need to, you can blow into it and it'll inflate, etc. But they always get to the point where when the masks drop down, right? The oxygen mask, in case of emergency, we're most likely all going to die anyway, because we're plummeting 30,000 feet in a cylinder of metal at rapid speeds of 500 miles an hour, and probably gaining speed. But in case of emergency, I love the fact that they do pinpoint this, right? They say if we need to, the masks are going to drop down. It is going to inflate with oxygen. If you have a child or a spouse with you, make sure you secure your mask first and then secure the others. Right? And this is a unique thing, because every time they say it, I kind of chuckle, because I'm like, I love this mentality. And I think it's an important mentality of taking care of yourself and making sure that you are healthy, right? Because you are of no use if you've passed out from lack of oxygen, right? Like if you're like, oh, my kid is struggling to get the mask on, and then boom, you pass out because you're not getting oxygen, and then your kid's still struggling with the oxygen. So it's just not helpful. And what I've seen in the last few years is a mentality that's been shared on social media of do you. Focus on you. And although that is what the premise of put your mask on first, I think a lot of people have taken it to the next level in the wrong direction. So they've started living a life where they just do themselves, and they just do them because they can't do anything else. They don't want to do anything else. And they don't want to deal with anything else going on. I'm focused on me right now. And it's great. There's a difference. There's a difference in focusing on yourself to be able and willing to help others if and when that time comes. And focusing solely on you because you just don't want to deal with anyone else's drama. Right? And I truly have seen it. Some people have become so self-absorbed. They've become so self-absorbed in themselves that they don't know how to do anything but themselves. And that is not the purpose of secure your mask first. The purpose of secure your mask first is so that you can help the ones around you. So a little perspective on it. If you're in a time of life where you're doing you, I'm not downplaying this, and I'm not saying that you're doing it wrong or anything like that. I'm encouraging you. Awesome. But while you're doing you, make sure that you are focused on not just having a great fun time, but making yourself healthy, strong, learning skills to be able and willing to help others if and when that time comes. That's the process of doing you. That's the process of please secure your mask first. And I really think it's it might be society, it may be social media, it may be a lot of things, but I've seen a lot of people lately who have been in the era of doing themselves. But that era has gone on for a really long time. And they've become less and less and less trustworthy. They've become less and less reliant or reliable. And I've lost friends because I just don't know if I could ever go to them and ask for their help, because they just do not have any effort. And I'm not downplaying focusing on yourself, but I am saying if you're focusing on yourself just to be selfishly outside of the drama, then you're missing out on a really key part of life, which is the togetherness. It's the growing together. It's the having those memories and the perspective of others, right? You gain perspective from others when you're able to learn from them, talk with them, see what they see. There's so much value in it, right? So I wanted to kind of go through the perspective of 30,000 feet, and flying recently has really helped me out in this, just for the sheer fact of when you look at the earth from 30,000 feet, you just gain a little bit of perspective in that. And I really was honored and challenged. So how do you change perspective? Maybe you're in the middle of something and you're like, okay, I have a perspective of one thing. How do I gain a better perspective? I love what a author said, Mark Batterson. He says that change of pace and change of place equals change of perspective. So change of pace, change of place equals change of perspective. Essentially, go somewhere else that you don't usually go and do it slower or faster than you normally would. So maybe that means that you go to a different coffee shop. Maybe that means you go to a different restaurant. You go to a different gym. You go to a different restaurant. And maybe instead of just picking up and going home, you dine in. Maybe you change the pace of life where you put a little bit more time into talking to a stranger. Challenge yourself. Go to a new place and just introduce yourself to somebody and say, hey, I'm Kyle. I had a really cool mentor that once challenged me, and I've seen this challenge actually a lot in therapy and counseling, but I've seen the challenge where you have to say hi to somebody or a stranger, to 5 strangers every day. So one of the things was ask the time, so what time it is, to a stranger, to 5 different strangers every single day. It helped me get a little bit more outgoing, and it broke the ice. And I honestly had some really incredible questions and really incredible conversations that were asked and answered. And a couple people really were encouraged by those conversations at the end of it, because I was like, I told a little bit of my story. I said, hey, yeah, this is what I'm doing. So thank you for the time. Have a wonderful day. But a lot of people will just tell you the time. I don't know, about 2:30. Sometimes they'll look at you like you don't have a phone. You might want to take off a watch. So if you have a watch, you might want to take that off when you do it. Otherwise, you'll get really weird looks. I learned that the hard way. But it's a really valuable lesson. It's a really valuable lesson to get a different perspective on life and kind of learn how to be a little bit more outgoing. It's going to open up those conversations and maybe even open up an opportunity to share what you're going through. I was recently, I actually was in Houston last weekend for a conference. I got back last weekend. And I was a little bummed out that I was not on the same flight home as my teammates. I was like the only one on a connecting flight in Orlando. But I had no idea that my flight leaving Orlando would leave during golden hour. And I don't know if you know what golden hour is, but it's when the sunset and the light is just so incredible. You'll see every color out there: oranges, purples, grays, blues. It's just gorgeous. And I saw one of the most beautiful sunsets of my life flying out of Orlando. I took some pictures on it. I put it on my social media. So if you want to go back and look, I absolutely encourage you to do so. But sometimes I get so focused on what I think I want that I tunnel vision, right? I miss out on all of the life that's happening around me. There's so much beauty that's happening around us at all times. And I've found that my favorite memories are usually the moments that I could have never anticipated. I'm really thankful that I flew home out of Orlando instead of Dallas, because that view, as short as it was for about 15 minutes as we were flying up into the clouds and heading home, that view was something that I will remember for a very, very, very long time. And it really brought some perspective of my life and the fact that we're so go, go, go. Maybe it's time to slow down a little bit and just enjoy this beautiful life that we have. That's my challenge to you. Gain some perspective and enjoy this beautiful life that we have. That's going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you're watching on YouTube, you're going to see that there is a brand new angle. I'm trying some new things out. So you'll have to comment if you like it better this way or if you like the camera in the other spot. Thank you so much. If you want to like and subscribe, of course, as well. If you're listening on Spotify or iTunes, thank you as well. You won't be able to see me, but you can always follow me on my socials, which is at Kyle Vaught on TikTok and X, which is formerly known as Twitter. It's KYLE V as in Victor, ATT. And then on Instagram and Threads, it's Kyle_Vaught. I really hope that y'all will have an incredible, incredible week. We've got a lot going on, and I'm really excited to share all the incredible things. Remember to give grace, show love, and as always, stay stellar. Peace.